with me, man.
F-A into the G, yeah, baby, the O, yeah.
You watch what you say. Fake dudes don't look my way. Yeah, you stay where you may.
F-A into the G, yeah, baby, the O.
Watch what you say. Fake dudes don't look my way. Easy, I know where you stay.
F-A into the G.
What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate reverse rants, no hate. So check this out. Jumping straight into it. I called this a couple of weeks before the fights went down. You know I'm talking about Lions Only, Charlo brothers. I said if the Charlos, and I said it because I said this because of the amount of hate, the comments that these guys were getting, just the things that people were saying that just like, you know, all this personal negative energy. I said, you know, if the Charlos win convincingly, and I felt like there would be good fights, but I felt like they'd be able to KO these guys. You know, of course, Jermel, he rocked Derevianchenko like several times towards the end of the round, had him, you know, hurt. You know, and we know Jermel is a good finisher, man. So he's a great finisher, and so, you know, Derevianchenko was fortunate that those big bombs caught him at the end of the round. And you know, Derevianchenko is a tough guy that can take a shot. And I felt like Jermel would be able to stop, you know, Rosario. Now, regardless, I said if they beat them convincingly, like really dominate, especially like really dominate, people are talking like the Charlos are just not that good. They can't hang with the Derevianchenkos and the Rosarios, the Jared Herds. It's so crazy because I just don't. For me, I just don't have that hate in me. That I hate this person. I can't stand it. And I mean, I'm listening to the things that these people are saying. Oh, they're ducking everybody. They don't want to fight nobody. Yada yada yada. But the funny thing is, they praise fighters that they've beaten. You know, when J-Rock got beat, it was excuses. There's always an excuse. Now, what they're saying is, oh, well, I called it. Oh, the punch to the body was suspect. That wasn't a real knockout. Oh, that guy was faking. So this man is going to throw his title. Now, just think about what you're saying. Okay, we know that boxing and all other sports as well. We even heard the NBA referees say that they sometimes they target certain players, and you know they'll call fouls when it really wasn't a foul. Yeah, I for whoever remember that, they came clean with that. It's how many times we watched and said, what was the foul, right? Okay, listen. Just think about what you guys are saying. First of all, it's stupid to me. How much money do you think they would pay Rosario for him to throw his titles? I mean, what do you think? The mob was involved? They threatened him. If you don't throw this fight, that guy was trying to take Jermel Charlo's head off, man. A dive does not go that way. A dive, you don't look. There's shots that man threw with everything he had that Jermel was able to, you know, avoid. You don't throw shots like that, man, and no fucking dive. So what kind of money would they pay him? This man is trying to unify the division. He's trying to be undisputed. He's trying to be unified. He's trying to be that guy at 154, and he's gonna throw the fight for a little bit of money. You know how much money he'd stand to make after he beat Jermel Charlo and become unified champion, undisputed, all that? You know, like, what sense does that make? Okay, so we're gonna throw him a little extra money, and you're gonna throw the fight. I mean, what sense does that make? When people throw fights, it's pretty much because they were threatened. What fucking sense does it make? Okay, I'm going to pay you more money to throw the fight. No, you could have just paid that. Would that make any? It's like a guy saying, okay, we said we're going to give you 20, but if you throw the fight, we'll give you 27 million. Okay, well, why wouldn't they just put 27 in the contract and say, hey, man, look, throw the fight? No, we're going to pay you under the table. Whenever the mob was involved, man, it was a, you know, a threat. You throw this fight, or you'll never see you want to see your kids again? We'll make sure that you're never the same if you don't throw this fight. That's how that shit went. You don't just throw a fucking fight. Like, for what? What would Rosario have to gain by throwing a fight? This is the questions that people can't ask. Now, answer. So if we're gonna go by but you never know and what ifs, then we can do that about any fight. You don't have to see anything shady in order for someone to just throw a fight or for something to be fixed. A fix don't always have to look fixed. This reminds me of when Muhammad Ali, when he hit Sonny Liston in the rematch with what they call the phantom punch, and immediately the crowd starts yelling fix, and Ali was getting so much hate. Now, when you look at the fight and you see the punch in slow motion because the angle, you see how his face jolted. People can believe whatever they want. Now, I don't know Muhammad Ali personally. Knowing the stand that he took, the type of character that he had, if it was a fix, I don't believe he had anything to do with it. And for what I see, like if for people that say, oh, he could have got up but he didn't. Okay, how the fuck do you know that? Okay, so let me give you two things. One, that punch landed. It takes 6 ounces. They say it's been tested, right? That it takes 6 ounces of pressure to knock a man out, right? Well, let's look at this. Mike Tyson. Okay, first off, and then they're saying, oh, before I even get to that, they're saying, oh, the Charlos are getting too much credit. Those wins were bullshit wins. Oh, so when Derevianchenko fought Triple G, gave him more than he could handle, and most people feel like Derevianchenko won that fight. Okay, so that means nothing, right? They praised Tony Harrison for being such a slick, solid boxer. He okay, so he won the first fight. Second fight, he gets knocked out. Oh, it was luck. When J-Rock gets knocked out, then what? That was luck too? Everything is always some excuse as to why the Charlos are successful, why they're victorious, right? So when you say, oh, well, beating Rosario, that guy got a loss already, and all that. Okay, so hold up. If that's the case, and his victory doesn't mean shit, well, Mike Tyson's victory versus Bruce Seldon didn't mean shit either then, because Bruce Seldon wasn't shit. He was just a big muscle-bound guy, decent power, glass jaw, no heart. So how do we praise Mike Tyson for beating Bruce Seldon? Bruce Seldon was a guy who I would pick Charles Martin to beat Bruce Seldon in the fight, and that's real talk. Real talk. I would pick Charles Martin to beat Bruce Seldon. Here's the shit. Mike Tyson threw a punch that clearly went over Bruce Seldon's fucking head. Clearly. But because people love Mike so much, people wasn't hollering fix. But for the people that was going to hold up, man, I'm no fucking fool, man. I don't give a fuck how. Look, I hit extremely fucking hard too. Either hand, any fucking punch. I can knock you out with one fucking shot. Okay, if I threw a fucking punch that went over a motherfucker's head, and the only thing that touched the top of that motherfucker's head was the inside of my fucking arm, and somebody's going to tell you, oh, Mike hit that hard. Okay, so you mean to tell me that a punch that clearly missed knocked this man out? Okay, but no, we didn't press Mike about that. They didn't, oh, nah, that shit was fixed. It comes down to fighters that people hate. Then it's fixed. It's an excuse. Deontay Wilder threw a punch at, was it Malik Scott? I think it was Malik Scott. One punch grazed the guy. The second punch, that shit looks so. Now, that shit looks suspect. Here's the thing. Okay, and people are saying it because it was a body shot. And talking about how he was faking when he was on the floor. Let me tell y'all something. And I challenge anybody to this shit. Go in the gym. Since all these fucking experts, and look, I will say this, you never know, shady shit does happen. It's not like I'm there myself to know, to know what these individuals will or wouldn't do. I have no, I will say this though, it gets petty if all we're gonna do is start going, what ifs? But you never know. Okay, yeah, it could be some little green men living out here in the woods. You never know. Yeah, it could be one big fucking Cyclops eye, one foot hopping motherfucker out here in the woods. You never know, right? So nothing comes down to just, look, let's be mature grown-ups about this. Okay? You can believe what you want, and I really don't care about that. But go to the gym and spar. Okay? And I'm not talking about with some little poo-putt like yourself. I'm talking about just go. And I don't give a fuck how many sit-ups you do and all that. Let somebody catch you right. That's what the term. You get caught right. A body shot can be crippling to you. It was blocked. It hit his elbow. No, that shit hit him right below the belly, like right below the belly button. And bottom line, if you think that guy was faking, and he just threw his belts away for whatever stupid reason that y'all can't give, more power to you on that. But at the end of the day, the hate that people are giving the Charlos doesn't change the outcome of their accomplishments. The hate is going to continue. They hate the Charlos on the level that they hated Floyd. Real shit. The only difference is the Charlos are not as popular as Floyd, at least not yet. But at the same time, all of these excuses, I said they were going to make these excuses if they won convincingly. They were going to make these excuses. People would rather say, oh man, he got robbed. They had people sitting up there watching the fight where I was at talking about the Derevianchenko won 8-4. No, you got the 8-4 right, but you got the wrong person winning 8 rounds. Everything is just yap. You know, if you, for once, you know, I watched this guy Aki and I see his channel where he was talking to, you know, a lot of people are saying that was actually Gary Russell trying to pretend to be somebody else, right? Or whatever. But bottom line, Gary Russell or whoever he was talking to, the entire time he's talking, this guy's talking at these screaming into the phone. And it was annoying me to where, like, I ain't even want to hear it no more, but I'm trying to hear the whole thing. So if I'm going to speak on it, I got the whole story. Talking to people like that, you could never make. It's as simple as saying, go to that door and press the buttons 1, 2, 3, and it'll open. And they will still ask you a million questions. So you saying if I press 1, 2, 3, the door open? Yes. Well, what about if I press 2, 1, 3 instead? Well, what about, would you just open the door? He's asking the guy simple questions and the guy's screaming into the phone. This is the mentality of people now. You guys are so emotionally invested, man, that you just say things, you don't really think about what you're saying. These claims that you're making doesn't change anything. So at the end of the day, to try to tarnish and taint what the Charlos accomplished, that's nothing but hate. It's ignorance. And to be honest with you, it makes no sense just because you don't like a fighter. Just because you don't like a fighter, you're going to try to take away, you know, what they did in your mind. It makes you feel better to convince yourself that they're not shit, they're lucky or whatever. Look, either one of them could go out in their very next fight and lose. They might go out and dominate. Bottom line, what they just accomplished, no one can take from them. So here's the thing. I don't give a shit and want to hear nothing about how they're ducking Triple G. They're ducking Canelo. When these fights finally happen, my whole thing is somebody's got to win, right? Well, if it just so happens that the Charlos beat these people that you think they can't beat, there will be more excuses. Oh, they waited for Triple G to get old. Oh, Canelo's not the same anymore. It's going to be, regardless, it's going to be excuse on top of excuse. Now I hear people talking about, oh, Canelo would destroy Jermel Charlo. He'll beat his body down. He'll do this to him. He'll do that to him. And I'm like, you know, it's easier said than done. You guys can sit here and fantasize and imagine a fight. Me personally, I look at what I see, the strengths of each fighter and what each fighter is going to have to do. The fight can go completely different from the way I imagine it. So it's cool that you guys you come up with these strategies and what you think, but the thing is, you guys completely try to take credit away from where it's due and act like these guys can't fight. Well, then the rest of the division must be, pure shit, because both guys are successful. Jermel has one loss that, as far as I'm concerned, they gave the fight to Harrison. I didn't fight Harrison, won that fight. And I always say, in the rematch, I definitely had Harrison ahead, and Jermel got the fucking knockout, and that's what matters. You know what's funny, though, about the fight that he just had? How nobody's talking about how he dropped the guy twice. They're not even talking about the 2 knockdowns. Oh, that punch to the stomach wasn't real. It was fake, man. Nah, that was... Okay. Well, here's the thing. Until something develops that proved that it was fake, I'm giving this guy his props on what he did. It was a great accomplishment. And, you guys are sitting back trying to take credit away from somebody just because you don't like the person. I said, like, when I watched Jermel fight, I said one thing that Jermel does that he has to be careful of, because somebody will time him. Now, he can take a punch. Both Charlos can take a punch. But he has, I'm not going to say a habit, instinctively, if you throw something at Jermel, a lot of times, like when you throw flurries, he'll try to finish with that one left hook. He'll throw that one left hook. And, when you are a champion, when you're on top of the food chain, people are studying you. Most of the time, the champs are not studying, they might study the top guys if they know that eventually we're going to fight. But when people are studying you, it's things that you can't do repeatedly, and it's a couple of things that I see in every fighter, okay? But at the end of the day, it's all about progression. It's all about improving. I'm proud of what they did, and it was a great night for them. And you know why I'm celebratory for them right now? Because let's be honest, here's another case of 2 guys came up and had to struggle and had to find their way through life, and they found boxing, and they turned their lives around to they found something that they love from the time they were kids and stayed with it. And it's like, you see these guys can fight, man. They're no one-trick pony, I got lucky. And no, these guys can fight. They're very competitive. They don't like no winner likes to lose. But at the end of the day, all of this hate doesn't change anything. And what they did, what they accomplished, it doesn't end right there. This is it's not like, okay, I've made it, now I can just... No. As long as you're lacing up those boots and those gloves, you have something to prove in that ring. And personally, I like the Charlos fighters, and if I felt like they lost or if anything different, opposite of what I said, I would say it. I'm not gonna sit here and be biased and make up excuses and all that. But my thing is, like I said, man, the excuses don't change anything. What y'all need to understand is this: the same people you're cheering for right now, the same people that they can do no wrong in your eyes, you know what's gonna happen? They're gonna have their day too, where they're no longer the top guy, or they're no longer relevant, as an active fighter in the sport. There'll be somebody else come along. And you know what? Right now is the Charlos time. And they're doing what they're doing. Shout out, props to them. And just remember, never fall in love with lies. And the truth brings hate out of people. That's all I'm going to say on this video. Catch y'all on the next one.